Today's video is all about saddles, how to find the perfect saddle. I have had months of pain riding before I was able to find the saddle that I've got now, which I will talk about later on. But there's so many different things that I've learned trying to find that saddle that I think would help you find your perfect saddle. I think the first thing to remember is don't buy a pro saddle unless you are a pro. I tried a couple of different pro level expensive ones and they were painful. They are not meant for kind of riders like myself. They're meant for pros, and I think that ties into don't think that buying the most expensive saddle is necessarily going to be the comfiest, because that is not always the case. That's definitely what I find. I spent hundreds of pounds trying to figure out the right saddle. I spent like I think it was £130 on a Seller SMP, and it just didn't work for me. It doesn't mean that that's not a good saddle, but for me it just didn't work. And the one I've got now was about £55, so it doesn't mean that expensive equals comfort. It's not the case. But don't always buy a pro one, because they are generally made for more aggressive riding positions and for pros. So don't think you have to spend loads to get a comfortable saddle. The second thing I would say is bike fits are really important. And it might be that the way you're set up on your bike or on your saddle is the cause of the pain. It might not necessarily be the saddle. So have a look at that. Maybe try and get a bike fit. There's a really good YouTube bike fitter who makes so many videos about fit. I'll put his channel below, but he's so helpful. He helped me. I was messaging him, asking him about different saddles. It was just so helpful. Just a really, really good channel to watch if you are into trying to find the right saddle. Because it can sometimes be that the tilt is wrong or the fore and aft is not right. So he gives you all the kind of tips and information, because obviously he knows a lot more than I do about it. But he's really, really informative, very helpful. So maybe look at getting a bike fit. Also, I had a bike fit about 2 years ago, and on that, sorry, did you hear my throat then? In that bike fit, they said, oh, we recommend you this saddle. And I was a bit because I had it was a saddle pressure mapping thing done, but because at the time my saddle was okay, I was like, oh, no, I'm all right, thank you. Don't worry about it. I'm happy with the saddle that I've got. And he was quite insistent. He was a bit well, actually, it would be a lot more comfortable for you. I didn't even try it, and I was just a bit nah, I'm fine, it's okay. But at that time, I was only doing maybe 100k rides. I wasn't doing big rides. And I think that once you get to a certain point of distance, maybe it can vary for different people. I think generally around 100, 150, 200k, that is when you start to notice saddle pain. And it was when I started doing more rides, I was actually this saddle is not that comfortable. But because I was a bit oh, they were just trying to sell it me. It was their own brand, they were just trying to sell it me. And I just started searching for different saddles. So I tried Seller SMP, Seller Italia, Specialized, Physique. I tried a lot of different saddles, and I went back to the one that they recommended, and that is the one I have. So sometimes I would say most of the time, experts do know what they're talking about. So if you can go and get a bike fit, I would definitely recommend it, because if you love cycling, I just see it as an investment in my cycling, in my body, in my health, in the fitness and everything. It is a lot to pay out at first, but I think it's worth it in the return that you get. So that's the other tip, is have a bike fit. And then if you don't necessarily have the money for a bike fit, or you don't want to have a bike fit, there's a lot of different things that you can do yourself. I mean, you can measure your own sit bone. So there's lots of different things online. You basically get a piece of cardboard and put chalk on it and sit down. It shows you where your sit bones are. And you can get different saddles of different widths, so it will ensure that you've got the right saddle width for you, which is exactly what I did with my saddle. I had my sit bones measured, and yeah, it's the right size for my sit bones. There are also a lot of different companies and brands that allow you to get a new saddle, try it for 30 days, and then you can exchange it or get your money back. So I got my saddle from the Trek shop, so it's a Bontrager saddle, and they do like a 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like it, you take it back, which is what I did initially. I had the pro version of the saddle that I've got, and it was so painful. My sit bones were just like, I felt like I was sat on, I don't even know, it was just so painful. So I took it back and then swapped it for the cheaper version, and that is the one that I've been using ever since. So definitely give those different brands and companies, try it. I think Evans do it as well. I don't think Evans you get money back, but Evans allow you to keep swapping and changing until you find the right saddle, which is really good. And who else do it? Pro do it. And I think Specialized do it as well. So you can try all these different saddles, keep swapping until you find the right one. Or you could go to a bike fitter who should have a lot of different saddles for you to try. I think there's a guy at the velodrome actually at Manchester that has got like a wall of lots of different ones to try. Failing that, and this is what I did, I bought one off Amazon and tried it very carefully. Tried it for about a week or so, 2 weeks, and then sent it back. So that's something you could do if you really wanted to try them. So I wanted to try the Seller SMP ones, and so I just got one off Amazon, sorry. I would refrain from buying secondhand ones because you don't know how long they've been used for. Unless you know the person that you know that it's not been used, or maybe it's just been taken straight off a bike, but you just don't know. I would always say go for a new saddle because they've been worn in differently. What else would I say? What other tips? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I did. Just be persistent with it, and you can end up spending quite a lot of money doing it, and it is frustrating, and it was painful, and I was so upset not upset, maybe that's a bit extreme, but I was a little bit disappointed for quite a while because I couldn't ride my bike. It was just painful, and I was like, what am I going to do? But I did find it. So just be persistent, try lots of different ones, read loads of different recommendations online. And the thing is though, it's so personal, it's so subjective. So I could say to you, yes, well I have, and it's the Bontrager Ajna, which is AJNA, and I really like it, but it's going to be so different for different people and how you sit on the bike. So just be patient, try lots of different saddles, and post your favourite saddle below. Let me know any other videos you would like me to make. I'm going to be doing a Q&A video as well, so if you've got any questions for that, leave that below, and I'll see you next video.